Welcome to CELPIP Listening Test 1 by Target 9. Designed in collaboration with Freedom Publishing House, this test will help you practice under real CELPIP exam conditions. The test will begin now. CELPIP Listening Part 1, Listening to Problem Solving. You will hear a conversation in 3 sections. You will hear each section only once. After each section, you will hear 2 or 3 questions. You will hear the questions only once. Choose the best answer to each question. Part 1.
Hi, I'm calling about my gym membership. I signed up for the 6-month package last month, but I just noticed that my account was charged twice, once on the day I joined and again this morning.
That doesn't sound right. Let me check your record. Could I have your membership ID, please?
Sure, it's GL4825.
All right. I see your account. Yes, there are 2 transactions, one for the registration fee and one that seems like a duplicate monthly payment. Did you perhaps register online first and then pay again at the front desk?
I did fill the form online, but I paid only once when I came in person. I even have the receipt.
Okay, that helps. Let's figure out what happened.
Question 1.
What problem is the woman reporting?
Question 2.
What information did the man ask for to locate the woman's account?
Question 3.
What reason does the man give for the double charge?
Part 2.
So, here's what I can do. We can either issue a full refund to your card or credit your next 2 months of membership so you won't have to pay until May. Which option would you prefer?
I think a refund would be better. I've had a few billing issues before, so I'd rather clear it completely.
Understood. It looks like the duplicate charge was processed through our third-party billing system. It might take 5 to 7 business days for the refund to appear on your statement.
That's fine, but could you send me an email confirmation today? I'd just like to have proof in writing.
Of course, I'll send it right after this call.
Question 4.
What 2 solutions does the man offer?
Question 5.
What does the woman prefer to receive?
Question 6.
How long will it take for the refund to appear?
Question 7.
What additional request does the woman make?
Part 3.
Also, I was planning to freeze my membership next month since I'll be out of town for 3 weeks. Can I do that through the app?
Yes, absolutely. Just go to Membership Settings, click Pause Account, and select your dates. There's no fee for the first month of suspension.
Perfect, thank you so much. You've been really helpful.
No problem at all, and sorry again for the inconvenience. Once I send the confirmation, your refund process will start today.
Great. I appreciate your help. Have a good day.
You too. Goodbye.
Question 8.
What does the man say about freezing the membership?
CELPIP Listening, Part 2, Daily Life Conversation. You will hear a conversation followed by 5 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question. A woman named Julia is talking to her neighbor Ethan about a recent water leakage issue in their apartment building.
Hey Ethan, have you noticed the water pressure's been really low since yesterday? I could barely rinse the dishes this morning.
Oh yes, I did. Actually, the building manager sent a notice last evening, but it seems not everyone received it. There was some leakage in the basement pipes. They had to turn off one of the main valves for repair.
That explains a lot. But I didn't get any email or message. It's frustrating when they fail to inform all tenants properly.
I agree. I only found out because I bumped into Mark, the maintenance guy, in the parking lot. He said the issue might take 2 days to fix.
2 days? That's quite long. And to make things worse, my washing machine started making weird noises right after that. I'm wondering if the pressure issue could have affected it.
It's possible. Low pressure can sometimes make the machine's motor strain. Maybe you should hold off using it until everything's fixed.
Yeah, that's probably wise. You know, this is the 3rd maintenance problem this year. First the elevator, then the heating system, and now this. I'm honestly considering complaining to the management company.
I wouldn't blame you. Though, to be fair, they did replace the elevator motor quickly last time. But their communication is still a mess. They could have easily sent a group message instead of just posting a paper notice in a lobby.
Exactly. Not everyone walks through the lobby every day. I usually take the side entrance.
Maybe you should write to the Tenants Association. I heard they're planning to collect complaints before the next annual meeting.
That's a good idea. I'll draft an email tonight. By the way, do you know if we'll have running water tomorrow morning?
Mark mentioned that it should be partially restored tonight, but only on the lower floors. So, we might still have weak pressure on our level until tomorrow evening.
Great. Looks like another round of bottled water and takeout meals.
Tell me about it. I've already bought extra water containers just in case. Hopefully, this will be the last time this year.
Question 1.
What is the main reason for the conversation?
Question 2.
Why didn't Julia know about the water issue earlier?
Question 3.
What additional problem is Julia facing?
Question 4.
What does Ethan think about the management company?
Question 5.
What does Julia plan to do next?
CELPIP Listening, Part 3. Listening for information. You will hear a conversation followed by 6 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question. A student named Ava Chen is speaking with Mr. Thompson, the admissions officer at Northdale University, about applying for a master's in environmental policy.
Good afternoon, Northdale University admissions. How can I help you today?
Hello. My name's Ava Chun. I'm interested in applying for the master's program in environmental policy for the upcoming fall intake, and I wanted to ask a few questions before submitting my application.
Of course, Ava. I'd be happy to help. Have you already reviewed the admission requirements on our website?
Yes, I did. It mentions a minimum GPA of 3.2 and at least 1 year of relevant work experience. I meet those, but I'm still unclear about the English language requirement. I studied in Singapore, where all instruction was in English. Would that exempt me from taking an English test like IELTS or CELPIP?
That's a good question. Generally, applicants from countries where English is the primary medium of instruction are exempt. Singapore qualifies, but you'll need to provide a letter from your previous institution confirming that your degree was taught entirely in English.
Got it. That's easy to arrange. Also, I saw that there's an option to submit either GRE scores or a research proposal. Which one would you recommend?
It depends on your strengths. If you have a strong academic background but limited research experience, GRE scores might help. However, if you already have some research or project work to showcase, a proposal would be more valuable to the admissions committee.
That makes sense. I actually co-authored a paper on coastal pollution last year, so I guess a proposal would reflect that better.
Absolutely. Include that publication in your CV as well. It'll strengthen your profile.
Thanks. One more thing, the website says the deadline is May 15th, but is that for international students too?
Yes, though I always advise international applicants to apply at least a month earlier to avoid visa delays. Submitting by April 15th gives you a much better chance of getting your documents processed on time.
Great advice. And what about scholarships? Are there any available for international students?
Yes, we have a few merit-based scholarships and one specifically for sustainability-related research. They're competitive, so you should submit your application and supporting documents early. Once your admission is confirmed, you can apply for scholarships separately through our online portal.
That's very helpful, thank you. So just to confirm, I'll prepare a research proposal, include my publication, attach a letter from my university, and apply before mid-April.
Perfect summary. If you do that, you'll have a strong application. Best of luck, Ava.
Thanks again for your time, Mr. Thompson.
Question 1.
What is Ava mainly trying to find out in the conversation?
Question 2.
What does Mr. Thompson say about English language requirements?
Question 3.
According to Mr. Thompson, when should international students ideally submit their applications?
Question 4.
Why does Mr. Thompson recommend submitting a research proposal instead of GRE scores?
Question 5.
What does Mr. Thompson advise about scholarships?
Question 6.
What can be inferred about Ava's preparedness?
CELPIP Listening, Part 4. Listening to a news item. You will hear a news item once. It is about 1.5 minutes long. Then 5 questions will appear. Choose the best way to complete each statement from the options given in this book. You will hear a news report about a city initiative to reduce plastic waste.
In a move aimed at tackling the growing problem of plastic waste, the city of Brookvale has announced a new Plastic-Free 2030 initiative. Under this plan, single-use plastics such as straws, cutlery, and shopping bags will be gradually phased out over the next 5 years. Mayor Helen Douglas said the decision followed months of consultation with residents, businesses, and environmental groups. According to her, the initiative seeks to balance environmental goals with economic realities. We understand small businesses need time to adapt, she said, so the plan includes subsidies for reusable packaging and biodegradable alternatives. However, not everyone is optimistic. Some restaurant owners argue that the cost of switching to eco-friendly products could drive up prices for consumers. Jason Reed, owner of Brook Deli Cafe, noted that while he supports sustainability, the higher cost of compostable packaging could hurt local eateries that already operate on thin margins. Environmental groups, on the other hand, have praised the city's approach. The Brookvale Green Alliance described the initiative as a critical step toward responsible urban waste management, emphasizing that over 40% of landfill waste in the city currently comes from disposable plastics. The plan will be implemented in 3 stages, beginning with voluntary compliance next year, followed by mandatory restrictions by 2028, and a complete ban on non-recyclable plastics by 2030. The City Council will also launch public awareness campaigns to encourage residents to reduce plastic consumption at home. Mayor Douglas concluded her statement by saying, "Our goal isn't just to ban plastics, but to change habits, and that takes time, cooperation, and commitment from everyone."
CELPIP Listening, Part 5. Listening to a discussion. You will hear a 2-minute conversation. Then 8 questions will appear. Choose the best way to answer each question. You will hear a discussion about introducing a 4-day work week in a company.
All right, team. Thanks for joining this meeting. As you know, management is considering a trial of a 4-day work week. We'll still complete 40 hours, just compressed into 4 days instead of 5. I'd like to hear your honest thoughts. Let's start with you, Aaron.
Well, I think it's an excellent idea. I've read about companies in New Zealand and Iceland that tried it, and most saw higher productivity and happier employees. People come back more refreshed and motivated. Plus, with fuel prices and commuting costs so high, it could save everyone a lot of money.
What do you think, Lena?
I'm not entirely convinced. Sure, it sounds great at first, but 10-hour workdays can be exhausting. For roles like customer support, which we handle, longer shifts might actually decrease performance in the last few hours. When employees are tired, mistakes increase. Also, not all clients operate on a 4-day schedule. What happens when customers call on Fridays?
That's true, but I think we could use rotating teams. Half could work Monday through Thursday, and the rest Tuesday through Friday. That way, coverage remains full-time, and everyone still enjoys 3 days off.
Interesting suggestion. But would that rotation affect coordination between teams? Sometimes our projects depend heavily on quick internal communication. What's your opinion, Lena?
Exactly. I think the 4-day week might work better in creative or tech-based roles, where tasks are project-driven. For service industries like ours, we need daily client interaction. Unless management hires additional staff, it might cause scheduling chaos.
Maybe, but companies are losing employees due to burnout. If we don't adapt, we'll lose talent. A shorter week could actually improve retention. People aren't just working for pay anymore, they value balance.
Valid points from both of you. I've heard some staff are open to experimenting with a pilot program for a few months. We could collect data, like employee satisfaction, client response, and task completion rates, before deciding anything long-term. What's your last take, Lena?
I'd support a short trial, as long as expectations are clearly defined and employees aren't forced to cram unrealistic workloads into fewer days.
Same here. If the company truly values productivity over just clocked hours, it's worth testing.
All right then. I'll bring this balanced feedback to upper management. Let's see if we can design a fair pilot plan. Thanks, everyone.
CELPIP Listening, Part 6. Listening for Viewpoints. You will hear a report once. It is about 3 minutes long. Then 6 questions will appear. Choose the best way to answer each question from the options given. You will hear a report about whether schools should switch to a 4-day week.
Today on City Talk program, I'd like to explore a topic that has sparked lively debate in many education circles, whether schools should transition from a traditional 5-day school week to a 4-day schedule. Although I'll be sharing information from both sides, these viewpoints come from educators, researchers, parents, and school administrators who have been part of this discussion. To begin with, education policy researcher Dr. Anita Rao believes the idea has strong potential. She argues that longer weekends could help reduce student burnout and significantly improve teacher morale. According to studies she references, districts in both the U.S. and Europe that adopted the 4-day model experienced lower absenteeism and even slight academic improvements. She says the key idea is quality over quantity. If teachers and students feel more rested, the learning that happens during the 4 days can be just as effective, if not more. On the other hand, some school principals and administrators, like Mark Preston, express caution. He notes that schools don't just function as learning environments, they also provide daily supervision for children, which is essential for working parents. He mentions that many families rely on schools during working hours, and an extra day off could place a heavy burden on those who cannot afford additional childcare services. In his conversations with parents, several have said that a shorter week may cause more stress, not less. In response to these concerns, Dr. Rao and other supporters suggest collaborations with community centers, which could host optional activities, such as sports, music, or vocational workshops, on the 5th day. This, they say, would help keep students engaged and offer parents some flexibility. However, critics point out another issue. To maintain the same amount of instructional time, school days would likely need to be extended by an hour or more. Some educators argue that younger students could become exhausted and lose focus during these longer days. In fact, data from several districts shows mixed academic outcomes. Teachers may feel more satisfied, but test performance in subjects like math and science has occasionally shown small declines. Supporters counter that academic results depend heavily on how teachers structure learning. They argue that project-based learning, interactive activities, and flexible pacing can ensure strong outcomes even with a shorter week. They also emphasize that the 5-day schedule was designed decades ago and may not fully reflect modern educational needs, especially regarding mental health and flexible learning patterns. But critics raise one final point: inequality. Wealthier families may be able to use the extra free day for extracurriculars, tutoring, and travel, while low-income families may struggle with limited childcare options. Without adequate government funding for community programs, the 4-day model could unintentionally widen educational gaps. As we can see, there is no simple answer. The 4-day school week promises exciting possibilities, but also presents challenges that require careful planning and support.
This is the end of CELPIP Listening Test 1.